Hey, Chris Canwell here. In this video, I'm going to talk about why women love men with this type of energy. I'm going to be explaining what this type of energy is and why you need to utilize it in your life if you want to attract more women and have more dates and have more sex. Now, let me start this video off with a story from a guy who wrote in and said that he got reported at work for being a creep to a coworker. He was trying to hit on this coworker who he said was really attractive. They've been working together, although they're working in different departments. He spoke to her on several occasions and she reported him for being a creep. And then he said, you know, what was ridiculous was that when he was in a meeting with HR explaining what happened and how he was just talking to this girl and just trying to be friendly. And he said to HR, look, this other guy did exactly the same thing and she didn't report him. And then he wrote to me and said, what's going on? Why did I get reported while this other guy in the office who was doing exactly the same thing and talking to this girl, he didn't get reported at all? Well, that's the difference between being seen as hot and being seen as a creep. I don't know the ins and outs and all the details of what happened here, but I'm going to wager that the guy who got reported was showing up with a lot of feminine energy. And what I mean by this is that he was being indecisive. He was probably floating around this girl for a couple of weeks before he decided to try and talk to her. So she knew he was around in her periphery, trying to talk to her, looking at her, making her feel a little bit uncomfortable. And then when he approached her, he was awkward. He wasn't confident. He wasn't relaxed. He was probably being a bit too intense. And although he thinks the communication was okay, it probably wasn't. I don't know what this guy looks like, but he's probably not projecting confidence and strength. So the type of energy which women love is masculine energy. What's masculine energy? It's being bold. It's being decisive. It's being indifferent to women and keeping things light and relaxed. And what masculine energy does is it keeps you out of the creep zone. It stops you from looking weak. It stops you from acting like a beta male. And I guarantee that the other guy who didn't get reported was more masculine. He was just lighthearted. He was relaxed. He was making throwaway comments. He was being humorous. And he didn't really care if the interaction went well or not. And he wasn't putting too much emphasis on it. He was probably meeting her in the kitchen, saying a few words, having some chit chat, and then leaving himself without waiting for her to leave first or break off the conversation. He wasn't staring at her awkwardly as well. So these are some little things that you need to be aware of. The difference between being a creep and being seen as hot is masculine energy. You can be the same guy, you can look the same, but if you show up with a lot of feminine energy or act like a beta male, women are just going to shut you down. So the first thing to realize that if you want to attract women and turn them on, you need to show up with a lot of masculine energy. Why? Because as I talk about in my book, Atomic Attraction, which is based on over 120 scientific studies, if you show up with a lot of masculine energy, it's the opposite of feminine energy. And this in nature is what attracts women. It's like a magnet and it builds sexual tension and sexual attraction. So if you want to get a woman's real interest, you really need to focus on harnessing your masculine energy. If you want help with this, I do phone and email consultations. You can book a consultation with me on my website, developattraction.com.